Chapter 1076, Blood Crystal Yao Spirit. The trio instantly felt a surge of dense heaven-earth yuan qi when they entered the god corpse. It felt extremely nice, and the sacred power whirlpools within their bodies started to spin even faster as it absorbed the nearby heaven-earth yuan qi automatically. My cultivation speed would be at least 10 times faster than cultivating in the outside world. Zhao Feng exclaimed in surprise. The heaven-earth yuan qi within the god corpse was extremely thick. No place in the outside world could be compared to it. Furthermore, there was a powerful and quiet divine aura within the god corpse that allowed one to sense laws and intent more clearly. It was a very good spot to cultivate. Whoosh! The heaven-earth yuan qi seemed to bow to Zhao Yufei as she walked. It formed a stream of energy that quickly merged into her body. Without even cultivating, the rate at which I absorb heaven-earth yuan qi can reach the same state as when I'm in seclusion in the outside world. Zhao Yufei was stunned and spoke in disbelief. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's faces both froze as they stared at Zhao Yufei with gaping mouths. Her absorption speed here could reach the same state as when she was in seclusion in the outside world without even cultivating? One had to know that, even if Zhao Feng used the substandard god crystals to cultivate, his cultivation speed wasn't as fast as Zhao Yufei. At this moment, Zhao Yufei was only using her spiritual race bloodline to casually absorb the energy nearby, and the speed of her cultivation easily surpassed Zhao Feng when he used substandard god crystals. Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng had to admit that they had underestimated Zhao Yufei's bloodline once more. The top 20 bloodlines of the 10,000 ancient races were terrifying and definitely not as simple as they thought. Yufei, how about you just stay behind and cultivate here? Zhao Feng suggested. The god corpse was a perfect place for those with a spiritual race bloodline to cultivate. Every inch of the crystalline walls nearby contained the energy of heaven and earth, and it easily surpassed the power contained within substandard god crystals. The energy in some places was even comparable to true god crystals. This basically meant that the entire god corpse was the same as an enormous substandard god crystal, but the structure of the god corpse was complete and extremely tough. It was impossible to be broken. However, those with the spiritual race bloodline could just absorb the energy within the god corpse directly. If Zhao Yufei stayed behind and cultivated here, she would probably be able to touch the level of gods before long. No, I want to stay with Brother Feng and find true fortune within the god corpse. Zhao Yufei immediately declined. If she stayed behind by herself, the risk and danger Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had to face would increase dramatically. Besides, the reason Zhao Yufei entered the god corpse wasn't to find fortune in the first place. Let's go then. Zhao Feng's heart moved and he immediately spoke. In comparison to the heaven and earth energy contained in the god corpse, there had to be even more precious treasures contained within it. A wicked aura radiated from Nan Gongsheng's body and became stronger and stronger. It was obvious that the possibility of treasures existing within the god corpse increased the growth of the evil god mental thought body. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder and threw out several coins into the air before pointing in a certain direction. Let's go. Zhao Feng knew that the little thieving cat wouldn't be sleeping at this moment in time. He left behind a spatial marking with his arm guard before they left. Whoosh! The trio immediately flew in the direction that the little thieving cat pointed, but they stopped before they traveled very far. What is this? Zhao Feng approached the crystalline wall. There was a blood-colored crystalline grass in the corner. What powerful heaven-earth essence! It also has an ancient bloodline aura to it. Zhao Yufei sniffed and said. Could it be a precious herb created from a faint wisp of bloodline aura from the god corpse and its divine power? Zhao Feng slowly analyzed. This blood-colored spiritual grass in the shape of a crystal wasn't connected to the god corpse. It was as if it had grown out later. The blood-colored crystal grass was similar to the sky water crystal lotus that Zhao Feng once obtained. It was a treasure in between minerals and plants. However, this blood-colored crystalline spiritual grass was without a doubt rarer and contained a powerful ancient bloodline aura, as well as thick heaven-earth yuan qi and the laws of wood and water. Furthermore, the energy contained within this crystalline spiritual grass was even more plentiful than the precious resources Zhao Feng had in the ancient dream realm. Without saying anything else, Zhao Feng put this resource into the misty spatial world. After taking away the blood crystal spiritual grass, Zhao Feng realized that the essence of heaven and earth leaking out from the wall was comparable to god crystals. Unfortunately, he was unable to take it away. Greed flashed through Nan Gongsheng's eyes, but he suppressed himself. They had discussed things before they entered the God Corpse. Everything they obtained in the God Corpse depended on who got it first. There's more there. Nan Gongsheng's eyes glanced toward a wall not too far away and immediately flew over, plucking away a crystalline herb. What Nan Gongsheng said made Zhao Feng turn his gaze away from the wall. Could this just be normal grass in the God Corpse? Zhao Feng's expression froze, and he felt slightly awkward. The blood crystal spiritual grass that he placed great importance on was extremely common here. What kind of terrifying existence was this God Corpse when they were alive? Nan Gongsheng took in a cold breath as he revealed a fearful expression. From the current situation, it seemed as if the fortune in the God Corpse was even more precious than Xieyang Palace. I can't tell either. The evil god mental thought body sounded in Nan Gongsheng's body. He was just a thought and didn't have ancient god Xieyang's complete memories. Let's leave this and go, Zhao Feng said. Although there were many resources that tempted them on the way, they contained themselves and didn't go pick them. How could they waste time on such normal items? Watch out, Zhao Yufei immediately said as she felt a disturbance of yuan qi. Wang tilde boom. A roar sounded as a powerful aura spread toward the trio. A blood-colored figure charged out from the crossroads in front. The blood-colored figure seemed to have a human shape, but it didn't have a face. Its body was formed from pure heaven and earth energy and laws. This is a Yao spirit formed from the powers in the God Corpse, Zhao Feng concluded after looking through the figure with his left eye. If the God Corpse could spawn precious resources, it could also form Yao spirits. The reason why Zhao Yufei was able to sense this Yao spirit before Zhao Feng was because it was formed mainly of heaven, earth, yuan qi and divine power. Whoosh! The blood crystal Yao spirit was extremely agile, and it thrust out its palm. Bam! The laws and energy nearby were attracted and formed a blood-colored palm that slammed toward the trio with terrifying power. What power? Nan Gongsheng's expression became grim as purple and blood-colored divine light formed a claw that slashed out. Peng! Boom! Boom! Nan Gongsheng retreated several steps, and his blood boiled as after the clash. Attacks that exceed normal sacred kings. Zhao Feng's eyes focused. Danger existed alongside fortune. The God Corpse was full of treasures, any one of them could make sacred kings go crazy over them. This also meant that the danger within the God Corpse was something that normal mystic light realm sacred lords couldn't handle. From the exchange between Nan Gongsheng and the blood crystal Yao spirit just now, Zhao Feng could see how terrifying the blood crystal Yao spirit was. The trio had to admit that they had underestimated the God Corpse, both the fortune and the danger. Peng! Boom! 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 Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei immediately charged forward, and the heaven-earth yuan qi within the God Corpse started to move as it turned into a purple storm that swept toward the blood crystal Yao spirit. Tribulation lightning eye flame. Fire brewed in Zhao Feng's left eye and glittered with dark god lightning tribulation symbols. Whoosh! A ball of transparent purple and gold lightning fire with the destructive aura of god lightning tribulation exploded onto the blood crystal Yao spirit. Arg! The blood crystal Yao spirit was instantly at a disadvantage against the trio. Amongst them, Zhao Feng's tribulation lightning eye flame did the most damage to the blood crystal Yao spirit. The blood crystal Yao spirit was formed from the God Corpse and had powerful physical attacks that contained a wisp of profound intent. However, its soul and mind were its weaknesses. Whoosh! The blood crystal Yao spirit instantly started to run after seeing that it wasn't Zhao Feng and company's match. Zhao Feng and company chased after the blood crystal Yao spirit, but they didn't try to kill it. Instead, they just followed behind it. Zhao Feng thought that the place where the blood crystal Yao spirit was formed would definitely be unique. The group soon arrived at a cave entrance. Everyone, be careful, Zhao Feng immediately warned. The walls nearby were faint red, different from the walls before. Whoosh! The blood crystal Yao spirit leapt straight into the cave. Wang tilde. Several terrifying screeches, powerful ancient bloodline auras, and undulations of sacred power spread from the entrance. Whoosh! 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 3 blood crystal Yao spirit jumped out from the cave. 2 of them were human-shaped while the last was a larger one that was in the shape of a beast. 1 each. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. Just what I was thinking. Nan Gongsheng laughed coldly and revealed a bloodthirsty expression as a glow of purple and blood-colored divine light shone from him. From Nan Gongsheng's point of view, this was a clash between Zhao Feng and him. If he finished off the monster first, That would prove that he had surpassed Zhao Feng and could enter the cave first. Zhao Yufei smiled in agreement. Boom. The trio took action at the same time. Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei charged toward the two human-shaped blood crystal Yao spirits, so Zhao Feng obviously had to face the beast-shaped blood crystal Yao spirit. All of the experts of both Lord dynasties started to find treasures in the God Corpse that could make one go insane. Battles of different tiers happen everywhere within the God Corpse. Some of the sacred lords that hadn't been planning to enter the God Corpse started to slowly approach it. It's a God Corpse. There should be no problem if I just cultivate around it. An initial stage sacred lord sat next to the God Corpse and started to cultivate while absorbing large amounts of pure heaven earth yuan qi. Some quasi-sacred lords and initial stage sacred lords started to head underground. I came late. An elder in gray revealed a faint smile as he approached the God Corpse below. Black lines started to appear in the gray-robed elder's dim eyes as he released a surge of eye bloodline power that shook one's heart. If I find the opportunity to become a god here, she can live. Chapter 1077, Intense Clash. Within the God Corpse, Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and Zhao Yufei each faced a blood crystal Yao spirit. Evil demonic claw. Nan Gongsheng extended his right arm, and blood-colored flowers started to extend across it until they formed a demonic claw that ripped forward. Nan Gongsheng had stopped underestimating his opponent and was attacking at full power. Boom. The human-shaped blood crystal Yao spirit's attack was instantly shattered apart by Nan Gongsheng. Human, you're courting death. The blood crystal Yao spirit released a surge of powerful bloodline force as it sensed the wicked power within Nan Gongsheng's body. The blood crystal Yao spirit's body turned bright red, as if it were on fire. Nan Gongsheng, these blood crystal Yao spirits contain a pure ancient bloodline aura. The evil god mental thought body's voice sounded in Nan Gongsheng's body. Nan Gongsheng obviously knew what the evil god mental thought body meant. Even if the ancient bloodline in the God Corpse was extremely faint, it was still very useful to him. Even the mental thought body couldn't guess what kind of cultivation this God Corpse had in life. In the past, just a normal drop of blood from demigod Kun Yuan made all the geniuses of the true martial sacred land go crazy. On the other side, Zhao Yufei fought against another blood crystal Yao spirit casually. The power of the spiritual race bloodline was able to last for a very long time, and her power was infinite in her current situation. However, Zhao Yufei lacked explosive power. While the blood crystal Yao spirit was unable to harm Zhao Yufei couldn't finish off the blood crystal Yao spirit either. Tribulation lightning eye flame. A purple and gold fire sparkling with dark purple god tribulation lightning marks appeared from Zhao Feng's left eye. Whoosh. A completely transparent purple and gold lightning fire with the destructive aura of God Tribulation lightning exploded onto the blood crystal Yao spirit. Zhao Feng didn't dare to overestimate himself against a blood crystal Yao spirit. He instantly unleashed his Soul Eye bloodline technique. Physical Force Lightning Domain. Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body released a dark yellow domain of lightning, and the blood crystal Yao spirit was actually suppressed to a certain degree in Zhao Feng's domain. Meow meow. The little thieving cat held the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger in one paw and the dark golden dragon snake whip in the other as it attracted the blood crystal Yao spirit's attention and unleashed attacks at it. Sacred Lightning Dominating Punch. Sky-destroying Sacred Lightning Palm. Zhao Feng used the lightning wings flying technique and unleashed some attacks as well. He had absolute control over his speed within a limited range. After breaking through to the early stages of the Mystic Light realm, Zhao Feng's Mystic Light sacred power was even stronger than before. His strength. Nan Gongsheng's expression darkened. Although the blood crystal Yao spirit was being countered by Zhao Feng right now, weakening its soul intent, the strength that Zhao Feng was currently displaying had almost reached the level of a sacred king. Zhao Feng, I'll be going in now. A bright purple divine light shot out from Nan Gongsheng's body. It radiated a desolate power that shook heaven and earth, and it even caused the heaven-earth yuan qi nearby to tremble. Divine power? Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. At this moment, Nan Gongsheng was using a wisp of divine power that he couldn't completely control just to win. After using this divine power, Nan Gongsheng wouldn't even be scared of sacred kings. The blood crystal Yao spirit had the battle power of a sacred king, but its cultivation wasn't at that level yet. Tribulation Lightning Eye Flame. Countless white bolts of lightning flashed within Zhao Feng's left eye as a surge of destructive soul intent appeared. Being the leader of the team, Zhao Feng obviously couldn't be beaten by Nan Gongsheng, or else the latter would only become more and more arrogant. Therefore, Zhao Feng condensed a certain amount of God Tribulation lightning symbols to unleash a killing move. Boom! A ball of lightning tribulation glittered like fire and radiated a terrifying soul aura as it landed on the blood crystal Yao spirit's soul. Whoosh! The blood crystal Yao spirit's soul intent was originally already very weak, so it wasn't even able to last a single breath before being completely destroyed. Shoo! Zhao Feng put the body of the blood crystal Yao spirit into the misty spatial world before entering the cave. What? Nan Gongsheng's expression changed dramatically as he killed the blood crystal Yao spirit in front of him and took its body. However, he was a tiny bit slower than Zhao Feng. On the other side, Zhao Yufei used a bloodline secret technique to kill the blood crystal Yao spirit as well. Whoosh! 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 The trio all rushed toward the cave, but since Zhao Feng was the fastest, he was the first to enter. The space within the cave wasn't very big. The walls around the cave hadn't completely crystallized yet, instead, there was a rubbery type of material that heaved up and down. At the center of the cave was a small pond that contained a thick, sticky, blood-colored liquid. The blood crystal Yao spirit that was injured by Zhao Feng and company earlier was immersed in the blood-colored pond, as if it was healing its injuries. At the border of the pond was another blood crystal Yao spirit, but it seemed like it hadn't completely grown yet. What a terrifying ancient bloodline aura! Zhao Feng was stunned as he sensed the aura within the pond. Zhao Feng had taken the blood of the Skyfire Lightning Ape in the ancient dream realm, but the power and aura of that bloodline could be completely ignored in comparison to this pond. Come. Zhao Feng immediately approached the pond and put some of the liquid into the misty spatial world. At the same time, the little thieving cat jumped directly into the pond and started to drink. Although Zhao Feng was the first time arrive, he didn't take any more after taking a certain amount. This is? Zhao Feng picked up a smooth blood-colored crystal pearl at the bottom of the pond before setting his gaze on the blood crystal Yao spirit that hadn't completely grown yet. Whoosh! Zhao Feng put this immature blood crystal Yao spirit into the misty spatial world as well. How dare you take the blood of God? The injured blood crystal Yao spirit in the pond roared as it attacked Zhao Feng. After taking a certain amount of resources as his spoils of war, Zhao Feng retreated to the back while Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei went forward and killed the injured blood crystal Yao spirit. The remaining 50% of the blood-colored liquid within the pond was split evenly by them. Could this be the blood of the god corpse? Nan Gongsheng's eyes sparkled. Impossible. We wouldn't even be able to approach the true blood of the god corpse, Zhao Feng said. His estimation of this god corpse's strength when they were alive kept on rising. The blood within the pond had the aura of many bloodlines. It could have been formed from just one drop of the god corpse's blood. However, even if this pond did contain one drop of blood from the god corpse, countless years had passed, and the power had disappeared. For example, the blood crystal Yao spirits were formed from this pond. Although this was the case, the liquid within the pond wouldn't be too weak either. After all, it had managed to create such powerful monsters. Not good, someone's coming. Zhao Feng caught sight of a figure through the wall with his left eye. Blood of the god corpse? 5 non-human figures instantly rushed over. Humans. A laugh immediately sounded. Since everything in the god corpse restricted divine sense, mystic light realm sacred lords had to rely on their sight. Therefore, they didn't know what was going on in the cave until they arrived. Boom. Several terrifying surges of laws and intense blocked Zhao Feng and company, who had been preparing to escape. Zhao Feng. A non-human of the elephant men race exclaimed in joy. The eyes of Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and Zhao Yufei became grim as they looked at the 5 before them. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Zhao Feng and company all knew this Sacred Lord from the elephant men race. Apart from Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, who was at the early stages of the mystic light realm, there was another non-human early-stage Sacred Lord in this team. Apart from them, there was a late-stage Sacred Lord and 2 Sacred Kings. Lord Black Poison, Lord Purple Poison, these 3 are all prodigies of the Great Gon Lord dynasty. That female is Zhao Yufei, and that purple-haired male has the power of the evil god. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms said respectfully to the 2 non-human Sacred Kings next to him. The Dark Moon Lord dynasty knew about Zhao Yufei, and Nan Gongsheng had also made a name for himself after coming to the battlefield. Kill them all. Sacred King Black Poison, a member of the Snakeman race, had a cold expression as he spoke in a nonchalant tone. A group of just 3 Sacred Lords dares to enter the God Corps? The late-stage Sacred Lord snickered. Of the 3, Zhao Yufei and Zhao Feng were both only at the early stages of the mystic light realm. Do they not know how death is written? They dared to come in without a Sacred King leading them? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms roared with laughter. He could finally take his revenge. One had to know that, even if a group had Sacred Kings, they wouldn't necessarily be completely safe in the God Corps. After all the demigods of both Lord dynasties had also entered the God Corps. Stall the 2 Sacred Kings. I'll finish off Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and the other 2 Sacred Lords. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and Zhao Yufei decided what to do while the 5 non-humans were mocking them. The strength of these 2 Sacred Kings was obviously much higher than the Blood Crystal Yao spirits from before, but Nan Gongsheng had the power of the evil god. It shouldn't be too hard for him to just stall a Sacred King. Zhao Yufei had the spiritual race bloodline, which was ranked 19th among the 10,000 ancient races. Its defense was extremely strong, and being in an environment like the God Corps was like adding wings to a tiger. It wouldn't be much of a problem for her to stall a Sacred King as well. Whoosh. 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 Zhao Feng and company took action first before the non-human group attacked. What? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had been preparing to torture the trio in front of him. He didn't expect Zhao Feng to just charge directly at him. Wang Tilda. A dark yellow domain of lightning radiated from Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body, covering Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and the other 2 Sacred Lords. After breaking through to the early stages of the mystic light realm, normal Sacred Lords at the same rank would feel like they were carrying a mountain when facing Zhao Feng's domain. Everything would be heavily suppressed. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and the other late-stage mystic light realm Sacred Lord felt a bit better though. How is this possible? Your strength? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was utterly stunned. He fought against Zhao Feng just a few years ago, and the latter only had a slight advantage back then. However, Zhao Feng was now extremely dominant even when facing 3 Sacred Lords at the same time. Kill him. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms said to the late-stage Sacred Lord next to him. After consolidating his cultivation, he also had the battle power of a late-stage Mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord. He believed that 2 experts with the battle power of a late-stage Sacred Lord should be enough to kill Zhao Feng. Furthermore, there were still 2 Sacred Kings with devastating power in their group as well. Chapter 1078, Zhao Feng's Plan. Let's team up and kill him. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms said to the late-stage Sacred Lord next to him. The other non-human early-stage Sacred Lord had at least 50% of his battle power suppressed by Zhao Feng's domain, so he was completely ignored by Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Sure. The bulky red-furred non-human glared at Zhao Feng. Although the human in front of him was only at the early stages of the mystic light realm, a strong pressure was radiating from him. However, he didn't need to worry if he teamed up with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had the eyes of Myriad Forms, and his true strength was probably even higher than normal late-stage Sacred Lords. Myriad Forms, World of Fire. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms focused his eyes, and the heaven-earth yuan chi nearby turned into a surge of fire. The temperature started to rise, and waves of fire surrounded Zhao Feng. The red-furred non-human roared and waved his fists. Scarlet red fire covered him as he seemed to turn into a flaming beast. Heaven-earth fire dragon. A scarlet dragon of fire wrapped around the non-human Sacred Lord as he charged toward Zhao Feng. The flaming space was unable to do any damage to the walls. I can also absorb the element of fire. Zhao Feng laughed coldly as he activated his perfect Blood Devil Sun bloodline. Wang tilde boom. A scorching glass-like flame that gave off a terrifying heat was released from Zhao Feng's body. At the same time, the nearby fire quickly merged into Zhao Feng's body. Sacred Lightning Dominating Punch. Zhao Feng used the fire of wind lightning and his sacred lightning body together and clashed against the red-furred non-human Sacred Lord. The red-furred non-human Sacred Lord only cultivated fire elemental techniques, but Zhao Feng had a fire elemental bloodline. On top of that, Zhao Feng's 5 elemental wind lightning technique didn't just contain the element of fire. Therefore, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms World of Fire was actually more helpful to Zhao Feng. Boom. The red-furred non-human Sacred Lord was instantly pushed back by Zhao Feng's explosive power and landed against the wall behind him. A scarlet glass-like flame burned across his body and started to erode him. How is this possible? This human strength. The red-furred non-human Sacred Lord was completely stunned. He couldn't believe that he was defeated by an early-stage Sacred Lord like this. Whoosh! 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 Several thousand golden sword beams stabbed toward Zhao Feng right as the red-furred non-human Sacred Lord was sent flying. Swords of piercing metal. The spinning rainbow-colored light within Sacred Lord Myriad Form's left eye started to slow down. On the other side, the early-stage Sacred Lord unleashed an attack toward Zhao Feng at the same time. Meow meow. The little thieving cat listened to Zhao Feng's orders and waved the dark golden dragon snake whip at the early-stage Sacred Lord non-human. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, you're still trying to use these little tricks against me? Zhao Feng couldn't help but snicker. Shoo tilde. The Earth of Wind Lightning combined with Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body and formed a dark yellow barrier of lightning. Whoosh! The several thousand swords of piercing metal were stopped by Zhao Feng's sacred lightning protection after piercing through the barrier by half an inch. Crack! The barrier around Zhao Feng released a brilliant wave of lightning that instantly shattered the countless swords into pieces. At the same time, part of the Earth of Wind Lightning's power swept toward Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Wang tilde. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms focused his eyes, and a shield of wind lightning appeared and blocked the force from Zhao Feng's sacred lightning protection. How can your battle power be so strong even after you raised your cultivation so quickly? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms locked onto Zhao Feng with his eyes. Zhao Feng was only a quasi-sacred lord when they fought the first time. Several years later, Sacred Lord Myriad Form's cultivation hadn't increased, but Zhao Feng had reached the early stages of the mystic light realm. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms originally thought that Zhao Feng had forcefully increased his cultivation to the early stages of the mystic light realm in order to come here, but that his actual strength hadn't increased that much. However, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was actually slightly scared of the current power that Zhao Feng was displaying. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Zhao Feng laughed coldly as he released the projection of his little world of wind lightning toward Sacred Lord Myriad Forms alongside his physical force lightning domain. Zhao Feng's cultivation did increase rapidly, but even he didn't know how many precious substandard god crystals he used in order to do so. At this moment, Zhao Feng's cultivation was on par with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. In terms of physical attacks, Zhao Feng didn't need to be scared of Sacred Lord Myriad Forms at all, and in terms of the soul, Zhao Feng completely crushed Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Lord Black Poison, Lord Purple Poison. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms prepared to ask the two Sacred Kings for help after seeing how strong Zhao Feng was. However, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms paused after seeing the situation next to him. The two Sacred Kings from the Snakeman race were only on par with Zhao Yufei and Nan Gongsheng. As for the early-stage Sacred Lord, he was completely suppressed by the little thieving cat. Wind Lightning Eye Flame. Zhao Feng circulated the power of his left eye and used an eye bloodline technique while Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was distracted. Boom. A purple and gold lightning fire instantly exploded in Sacred Lord Myriad Form's face. With Zhao Feng's sole intent being at the late stages of the mystic light realm, his regular wind lightning eye flame was enough to cause trouble for Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Forbidden Illusion Lost World. Zhao Feng used a technique from the Tao of Illusions. In an instant, Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyes were completely attracted to Zhao Feng's left eye, and he fell into an endless maze. The eyes of Myriad Forms shall be mine. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. At this moment, he could completely suppress Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and kill him with his soul eye bloodline techniques. However, if he did that, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms' eyes would be destroyed, and the eyes of Myriad Forms would completely disappear. Ever since he had completed the second level of the soul-splitting technique, Zhao Feng had a thought, and that was to merge a pair of eyes from one of 8 great god eyes descendants into his second clone. The clones of a Sacred Lord usually had a certain percentage of their battle power directly after being created, but Zhao Feng's soul clone needed time to become stronger. However, if Zhao Feng merged the eyes from one of the 8 great god eyes descendants into his clone, it would increase the rate of its growth. Zhao Feng estimated that, if Zhao Wang didn't have the Eye of Death, his cultivation speed would be at least 60% slower. Therefore, Zhao Feng wanted to prepare for his second clone ahead of time and obtain another eye from a descendant of the 8 great god eyes in order to increase the rate of the next clone's growth. In addition, the experience and comprehensions that this clone obtained would also be transferred into his own consciousness. If Zhao Feng's second clone had the eyes of myriad forms, then Zhao Feng wouldn't need to worry about comprehending the 5 elements at all, which would be of great help for Zhao Feng's 5-elemental wind lightning technique. However, at this moment, the red-furred non-human sacred lord charged at Zhao Feng. Roar of the Fire Dragon. The red-furred non-human sacred lord released a surge of bright mystic light sacred power that formed a large flaming dragon and crushed toward Zhao Feng. Roar tilde. The fire dragon instantly spat out a terrifying wave of fire that turned the walls nearby red and unleashed a heat wave. What is this power of fire? Zhao Feng was surprised. As expected, one couldn't underestimate any sacred lord at the late stages of the mystic light realm. Sky-destroying sacred lightning palm. Zhao Feng's expression darkened as he circulated his mystic light sacred power and thrust out a giant palm of golden scarlet lightning. This non-human sacred lord had interrupted Zhao Feng right at the critical moment, so Zhao Feng wouldn't hold back. Boom. The 2 devastating elements of fire clashed together. Boom. The golden scarlet palm that Zhao Feng thrust out instantly released a brilliant bolt of scarlet golden lightning that shattered the fire dragon. After destroying the fire dragon, the remaining power of the sky-destroying sacred lightning palm crushed over toward the non-human sacred lord. Boom. This non-human sacred lord was sent crashing into the wall, and several cracks appeared in his sacred body. A scorching fire then started to burn across his injuries. Zhao Feng looked at Sacred Lord Myriad Forms once more after finishing off that Sacred Lord. It was at this moment that a weird light flashed in Sacred Lord Myriad Forms' eyes of myriad forms, and he managed to struggle out from the forbidden illusion lost world. Cold sweat covered his body as he looked at Zhao Feng in fear. Wang Wang. Wang. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms quickly retreated as he summoned wind lightning. He knew that he was trapped by Zhao Feng's illusion technique just now. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the eyes of myriad forms, which gave him stronger resistance against soul attacks, he might have never woken up. He never expected Zhao Feng's soul intent to have increased so quickly on top of his cultivation increase. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms suddenly thought of something. With Zhao Feng's monstrous soul intent, Zhao Feng didn't need to use so much effort just to deal with him. Zhao Feng probably wanted something from him. Lord Black Poison and Lord Purple Poison, let's retreat. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms immediately messaged the 2 Sacred Kings. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms knew that he wasn't Zhao Feng's match. What? You 3? Sacred King Black Poison's eyes were ugly. He originally thought that Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei were the strongest of the trio. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and the other 2 Sacred Lords should have been able to easily finish off Zhao Feng, but in just a short while, the early-stage Sacred Lord was defeated by a little cat while the late-stage Sacred Lord was heavily injured by Zhao Feng, not to mention Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Purple Poison, let's go. Sacred King Black Poison's eyeballs spun as he messaged Sacred King Purple Poison. From the current situation, it looked like Zhao Feng wasn't any weaker than Nan Gongsheng or Zhao Yufei. Once Sacred Lord Myriad Forms lost, the 2 of them would have to face the attacks of all 3 humans. Damn it. These 3 humans. A deadly expression appeared on Sacred King Purple Poison's face. The victory that he thought he could easily obtain had turned into such a hard-fought battle, and at the very end, they had to retreat. Whoosh. Whoosh. The 2 Sacred Kings of the Snakeman race immediately used an escaping technique and left with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Chase after them. Zhao Feng immediately roared. He almost managed to obtain the eyes of myriad forms just now. If he lost this chance, who knew if he would even be able to see Sacred Lord Myriad Forms again? Whoosh. Whoosh. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and Zhao Yufei immediately chased after them, and the little thieving cat's dark golden dragon snake whip turned into a rope that wrapped itself around the 2 beaten Sacred Lords and pulled them into the misty spatial world. Humph, no one can catch up to me. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms revealed a smile. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms didn't have much confidence in escaping from Zhao Feng if he was alone, but it was different since he was retreating with 2 Sacred Kings. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms focused his eyes, and a rainbow-colored light of Myriad Forms' sacred power appeared behind them as a storm of ice appeared out of nowhere. Ice Imperial Spear. A layer of ice blue liquid also appeared in space and formed a mist that covered Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei. Hu tilde. Zhao Feng and company were easily able to pass through the storm of ice without any resistance. Chapter 1079, Working Together. Ice Imperial Spear. A layer of ice blue liquid also appeared in space and formed a mist that covered Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei. The effect of the ice storm was completely blocked, and they were able to chase after the three non-humans without any resistance. Damn it, this brat. Sacred Lord Myriad Form's eyebrows furrowed together. He had forgotten the fact that Zhao Feng also specialized in the laws of water. However, even if that was the case, it was still difficult for Zhao Feng and company to catch up to Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and the two Sacred Kings. Humph, they dare to chase after us? Sacred King Black Poison snickered coldly as he saw Zhao Feng and company chasing after them. He and Sacred King Purple Poison were only scared that Zhao Feng and company would attack them after Sacred Lord Myriad Forms lost. However, that wasn't an issue since Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was right by them now. Extreme Purple Poison Blade. Sacred King Purple Poison suddenly turned around and slashed out with a short purple blade, unleashing an arc of glittering purple light. When one looked at it, they could feel deadly poison radiating from it. Wang Tilta Whoosh. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and Zhao Yufei had experience working together, and they instantly unleashed their little world projections. Three monstrous little world projections twisted together and blocked the path in front of them. The purple-colored beam of light was blocked by the little worlds, slowly depleting its mystic light sacred power. However, this also reduced Zhao Feng and company's speed. Brother Feng, although we have the advantage in a head-on fight, the difficulty of chasing after them and killing them has been doubled. Zhao Yufei messaged us this moment. Zhao Feng, do we really need to chase after them? Nan Gongsheng asked. There were usually no occurrences of death in a fight between experts of the same cultivation. Defeating and killing were completely different concepts. Nan Gongsheng thought that they would definitely be unable to kill either of the Sacred Kings. Furthermore, they were working together with Sacred Lord Myriad Forms now. Help me capture Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. I can give you two first pick of resources later. Zhao Feng told him his target. Nan Gongsheng's eyes focused. What Zhao Feng said was very tempting. Nan Gongsheng had worked together with Zhao Feng many times, and Zhao Feng was always the one to find fortune and resources first every time. Zhao Feng obtained the most every time, partly because of his eye bloodline and partly because of the little thieving cat. However, Zhao Feng said that he wanted to capture Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Capturing someone alive was even harder than killing them. Zhao Yufei nodded her head after thinking. From the fact that Zhao Feng said he wanted Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, she knew that Zhao Feng was interested in the eyes of Myriad Forms. If that was the case, then Zhao Yufei would try to help Zhao Feng to the best of her ability. The trio came to an agreement and decided to pursue the non-humans as quickly as possible. After all, the God Corpse was filled with danger. If it wasn't for the eyes of Myriad Forms, Zhao Feng wouldn't have bothered to chase after them. Whoosh! Zhao Feng immediately took out the sky-locking bow and shot out a scarlet arrow of lightning with a whoosh sound. Nan Gongsheng circulated his purple and blood-colored sacred light, and several purple-red figures charged forward. Zhao Yufei controlled the Heaven-Earth Yuanqi so that it slowed down the three non-humans. Humans, you don't know what's good for you. You will never catch up to us. This will only waste everyone's time. Sacred King Black Poison sent out a screen of black water that weakened the attacks of Zhao Feng and company. Sacred King Purple Poison then blocked the remaining attacks. Sacred King Black Poison was extremely angry. He never would have thought that he'd be in such a situation just after entering the God Corpse. A group of humans were chasing after them, and they didn't even have a Sacred King with them. This was a humiliation he had never faced before. Damn it, these humans. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms cursed. There was countless fortune in the God Corpse. Why were Zhao Feng and company so bent on chasing after them? Humph, it will be the time of their death if we meet any other non-humans. Sacred King Purple Poison snickered and said. However, the reverse was true if they met a human group. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he chased from behind. If the two Sacred Kings and Sacred Lord Myriad Forms wanted to run, he could do nothing. Zhao Feng thought about using the substandard god-slaying arrows, but he only had 4 of them, so he was hesitating. Boom. Nan Gongsheng released a purple and blood-colored light that formed into a demonic claw with a flower on it. It contained a wisp of divine power that caused the claw to radiate a terrifying force. The two sacred kings immediately circulated their mystic light sacred power when they saw it, blocking Nan Gongsheng's attacks. Boom. A surge of sacred power spread. Crack. One of the white walls instantly shattered. Hu tilde. A terrifying aura that shook heaven and earth was unleashed, causing the heaven-earth Yuanqi nearby to tremble. This is? Zhao Feng stopped and looked toward the broken crystal wall. It broke apart? Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and company also stopped. They all knew that the walls within the God Corps were indestructible. It was extremely difficult for even demigods to leave the mark on it, but the shockwaves of their fight managed to shatter this wall? This was just too weird. Wang tilde. A faint golden layer spread across Zhao Feng's left eye, and he saw everything within the shattered wall. That is? Zhao Feng's expression turned into disbelief. There was a relatively large dimension within the shattered wall. Several dozen white crystal pillars were placed within the dimension, and Zhao Feng managed to see a white light in the very center. It reflected endless divine light in every direction. The moment Zhao Feng and company appeared, the crystal pillars released a powerful pressure, and surges of strong intent started to awaken. Boom. One of the crystal pillars turned into a crystal giant that charged straight out. Peng. Boom. Countless crystal pillars started to awaken one after another. They're different from the blood crystal Yao spirits from before. The bloodline aura from these crystal giants is weak, but they contain more divine power. Zhao Feng concluded after inspecting these crystal giants. They seem to be even stronger than the blood crystal Yao spirits from before. The blood crystal Yao spirits from before hadn't reached the level of sacred kings yet, only their offense had reached the level of sacred kings. However, these crystal giants in front of them had truly reached the sacred king rank. Nan Gongsheng, they contain the aura of divine power. The evil god mental thought body's voice sounded within Nan Gongsheng's body, and Nan Gongsheng revealed a greedy and frenzied expression. He could obviously sense the aura of divine power as well. This divine power was extremely forceful, and it seemed to be even stronger than the power of the evil god. If he was able to obtain this divine power, it might be able to complement the power of the evil god within his body. Humans, let's team up for now and work together. Being a Sacred King Black Poison could obviously sense the aura of divine power. If he was able to obtain that ball of divine power, becoming a god wouldn't be a problem. This divine power will quickly attract many more groups. Sacred King Purple Poison gave an evil smile. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms was slightly hesitant. From the moment Zhao Feng and company started chasing after them, Sacred Lord Myriad Forms knew that he was the target, and what Zhao Feng most likely wanted from him was the eyes of Myriad Forms. Sacred Kings, please watch out for Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms obviously couldn't just leave by himself if both Sacred Kings wanted to team up with Zhao Feng and company. Sure. What everyone gets depends on their own skill. Zhao Feng thought for a while before saying. Of course, Zhao Feng consulted Zhao Yufei and Nan Gongsheng before making this decision. The appearance of this divine power would definitely attract more groups. It was best for them to try to obtain as much as possible before anyone else arrived. Sacred King Black Poison and company all knew this as well. Once a demigod arrived, they might not even get a share at all. It's better this way. Sacred King Black Poison revealed a wicked smile. It didn't matter even if he had to use all his hidden cards since this was actual divine power. Let's go together. Zhao Feng immediately roared. Whoosh! 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 The group of 6 immediately charged through the shattered entrance. Sacred King Black Poison released a black little world that blocked off the entrance so that the aura of divine power would become weaker, giving them more time. Although the two groups were working together, they couldn't completely trust one another. Peng. Bam. Boom. Zhao Feng, Zhao Yufei, and Nan Gongsheng teamed up and fought 2 crystal giants. The trio instantly released an explosive surge of battle power that attacked 1 crystal giant at the same time. This was the fastest way to destroy these crystal giants. Zhao Feng's and Zhao Yufei's defense was extremely strong, and Nan Gongsheng had a substandard god item. The trio took the attacks of the other crystal giant head-on for a brief moment while they attacked the other with full power. Blood Devil Claw. Purple Jade Charge. Sky-destroying Sacred Lightning Palm. Zhao Feng and company unleashed their ultimate techniques against one of the crystal giants. A bombardment of sacred power landed on the crystal giant. Shameless humans. The crystal giant was definitely unable to withstand Zhao Feng and company's attacks, so it was about to turn around and retreat. Forbidden illusion lost world. Zhao Feng suddenly cast an illusion technique while the crystal giant was about to run away, distracting it. At the same time, Zhao Yufei and Nan Gongsheng circulated their mystic light sacred power to unleash critical strikes. Hand of the demonic sky. Purple saint flowing light strike. Boom. The crystal giant completely shattered and exploded under the trio's perfect teamwork. At the same time, many white crystals fell from the crystal giant's body. Those are substandard god crystals. Zhao Feng and company exclaimed. A total of 3 substandard god crystals fell from the crystal giant, so Zhao Feng and company each took one. On the other side, Sacred King Black Poison's group also managed to successfully kill a crystal giant and obtain some substandard god crystals from it. The grade of these substandard god crystals is different. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. As he had used quite a few substandard god crystals before to cultivate, he could tell the difference with just one glance. The energy contained within these substandard god crystals was purer, and it had a faint wisp of the real god's aura. Finish it off as quickly as possible. Many more crystal giants are approaching. Nan Gongsheng immediately said. They could obtain substandard god crystals just by killing a crystal giant, but there was more than a dozen in this cave, and they were slowly awakening. The two groups both realized this problem. Right now, they were only facing 2 or 3 crystal giants at once, but if all the crystal giants woke up and attacked together, the only thing they could do was retreat. Peng. Peng. Boom. Everyone started to attack the crystal giants with even more power. Zhao Feng even needed to use some powerful offensive eye bloodline techniques. Although they were doing their best to attack the crystal giants, all their attention was placed on the ball of divine light at the top of the cave. Chapter 1080, Success. Anyone that comes here shall die. Another crystal giant woke up. Zhao Feng's group and Sacred Lord Myriad Form's group felt a strong pressure. Brother Feng, things will be bad if this continues. Zhao Yufei's expression became grim. She was surrounded in a layer of dazzling purple light as she unleashed waves of purple light that thudded against the crystal giants with every action. Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei had both reached the level of a sacred king in terms of battle power, and they could even stall non-human sacred kings like Black Poison and Purple Poison. In order to do that though, they would have to use their full. Nan Gongsheng had to use the power of the evil god while Zhao Yufei had to use her spiritual race bloodline. However, even then, they didn't have an advantage against those 2 sacred kings. It was Zhao Feng defeating the other sacred lords that turned the tide. At this point in time, it was far more difficult to slay these crystal giants that had the battle power of a sacred king. With the addition of more crystal giants, even Zhao Feng felt a sense of danger. On the other hand, Nan Gongsheng was becoming fiercer by the second, but Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei knew that Nan Gongsheng had used too much power of the evil god. Greed had tainted his eyes, but in reality, Nan Gongsheng was already exhausted. I'll use my soul eye bloodline techniques to stall them. Attack their hearts. Zhao Feng immediately said. Zhao Feng's physical attacks weren't as strong as Zhao Yufei's or Nan Gongsheng's. It was best to let them be the main offensive force while he used his soul eye bloodline techniques to disturb the crystal giants and other techniques to block the attacks of the other 2 crystal giants. Weakening a sacred king and taking their attacks head-on was a tough task for even Zhao Feng. Forbidden illusion lost world. Limitless soul power from Zhao Feng's lightning soul body entered his left eye as it turned into an infinite purple and gold maze. This maze gave off an alluring sensation that disturbed the crystal giants' minds. Spiritual light sacred strike. Purple light glittered around Zhao Yufei as a large source of mystic light sacred power condensed in front of her and landed on one of the crystal giants' chest. Evil sky-shattering demonic claw. Nan Gongsheng's eyes flashed with purple and blood-colored lights as a terrifying and wicked purple and blood-colored sacred power formed into a giant evil claw that slashed toward the crystal giant's chest. This crystal giant managed to regain its consciousness after being attacked, and it roared out loud as it waved its arms around. It was about to go on the offensive. Soul chaos. Zhao Feng focused his left eye once more and released a surge of mental energy that surrounded the crystal giant's consciousness and distracted it. At this moment, the crystal giant's attack suddenly descended. Zhao Feng used his physical force lightning domain in the little world of wind lightning to block it and reduce the damage. Nan Gongsheng took out his golden pawn shield and blocked the other monstrous attack. Continue the attacks. Zhao Feng said. The trio knew what they had to do, and they attacked the crystal giant's weaknesses, severely injuring it. Every time this crystal giant was about to attack, Zhao Feng would use a Soul-Eye bloodline technique to distract it. "It's about to die." Nan Gongsheng roared as he used another wisp of divine power. On the other side, Sacred King Black Poison's group was also facing a lot of pressure as they fought three crystal giants simultaneously. Sacred Lord Myriad Forms hid behind the two Sacred Kings and used his Eyes of Myriad Forms to continuously distract the crystal giants in support of the two Sacred Kings. The Eyes of Myriad Forms specialized in every element, and its power was very pure. He could even supply it directly to the two Sacred Kings. These crystal giants are way too strong. Sacred King Purple Poison felt troubled, but it wasn't the critical moment yet. He couldn't use his hidden cards so easily. They still had to be on guard against Zhao Feng and company. They have someone that specializes in the Tao of the Soul in their group, so they have it easier than us. Sacred King Black Poison glared at Zhao Feng with an ugly expression. These crystal giants had great power and defense, but their soul intent was relatively weak. Wind Lightning Eye Flame. Zhao Feng's left eye glittered with purple fire as a terrifying undulation of eye bloodline power appeared. Boom. The next instant, the severely injured crystal giant's head exploded before it could escape, and the purple golden lightning fire burned across its body. This crystal giant then faced attacks from Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei head-on. Boom. Nan Gongsheng grabbed the crystal giant's heart and took out the substandard god crystals. That's the second. Zhao Feng felt slightly tired. He had been using a lot of sacred power and eye intent since the battle started. Nan Gongsheng's current situation wasn't much different from Zhao Feng's. Although he had broken through to the late stages of the mystic light realm, he hadn't consolidated his cultivation, so his defensive power wasn't as strong as it could have been. On the other hand, while Zhao Yufei was only at the early stages of the mystic light realm, her aura was extremely steady, and she maintained a stream of rhythmic attacks. There's not much time left. Quickly finish off these crystal giants. Nan Gongsheng roared with a bloodthirsty and frenzied expression. Humans, how about all of us use some of our hidden cards to get rid of this trouble? Sacred King Black Poison suddenly said from the other side. The two groups were on guard against one another, and this dramatically reduced the effort they were putting in. All six of them had used up a lot of energy and had injuries to different degrees. If this dragged on, it would only hurt everyone here and attract other groups. Just as Zhao Feng was thinking, auras appeared from outside the wall. Another group is here. Nan Gongsheng's heart tightened. Are they human or Yao? Sacred King Black Poison's heart shook. If it was only the six of them, the treasures they obtained would be split evenly, but now there was another group approaching. If they were going to lose out on treasure, Sacred King Black Poison hoped that they were at least allies. It's a group of non-humans. Zhao Feng's left eye saw through the walls, and he noticed non-human experts speeding over. If he was correct, one of them was the Grand Elder of Demonic Sky Palace, Demigod Destruction. One of the descendants of the 8 Great God Eyes. Zhao Feng's pupil contracted as he felt a sense of critical danger. No one else knew this yet, they were still waiting for the group to arrive. However, Zhao Feng got ready to tell this news to Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei. Boom. 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 A strong surge of consciousness appeared from the ball of light at the very top of the cave and released a monstrous aura that could suppress everything in the world. All the crystal giants in the cave started to tremble and stopped attacking. What's going on? Sacred King Black Poison was stunned as he looked at the ball of divine light. How is this possible? Could it be? Zhao Feng was shocked as he stared at the ball of divine light with his left eye, and he immediately took in a cold breath. That ball of light actually has its own consciousness. Could it have turned into a Yao spirit just like the crystal giants? Zhao Feng was in utter disbelief. His left eye could see things that others couldn't. If it was just divine power, they had a chance to obtain it, but if this divine power had its own consciousness, it was now a Yao spirit. How terrifying would this Yao spirit be if it was able to use divine power? Demigod Destruction. And a Yao spirit with divine power. At this moment, only Zhao Feng could sense these two critical dangers, but he still acted in a nonchalant manner on the surface. Little thieving cat. Zhao Feng circulated his thoughts and communicated with the little thieving cat hiding in the darkness. On the other side, Sacred King Black Poison, Sacred King Purple Poison, and Sacred Lord Myriad Forms were attracted by the disturbance coming from the divine power as well. After all, they teamed up in the first place with this divine power. A silver streak of light suddenly flashed behind Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. Meow meow. The little thieving cat gripped a normal spade and smacked it onto Sacred Lord Myriad Form's head. The little thieving cat could transfer its stunning paw strike through the spade and combine it with some of the spade's own power. In an instant, Sacred Lord Myriad Form's head shook. Ding. The little thieving cat took off the necklace around its neck, which transformed into the image of a dark golden dragon that quickly wrapped around Sacred Lord Myriad Forms. The dark golden dragon snake whip that wrapped around Sacred Lord Myriad Forms had the ability to numb and absorb mystic light sacred power, which made Sacred Lord Myriad Forms feel helpless when trying to fight back. Meow meow. After doing all of this, the little thieving cat opened its mouth, and a small dot of green light appeared. This small dot of green light was the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly. The Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly immediately flapped its wings and released a whirlwind of half-transparent pollen that blew onto Sacred Lord Myriad Forms and spread out in every direction. The little thieving cat's actions were extremely quick. It did all of this within an instant. The expressions of Sacred King Black Poison and Sacred King Purple Poison changed dramatically. They had been attracted by the weird disturbance coming from the ball of divine power. Who tilde? Right as the two Sacred Kings prepared to attack, the Cloud Silkworm Saint Butterfly opened its mouth and spat out a five-colored silk that filled the air. The combination of the Cloud Silkworm Saint Silk and the Dream Pollen heavily distracted the two Sacred Kings. Whoosh! The next instant, the little thieving cat dragged the helpless Sacred Lord Myriad Forms away and turned into a flash of dark silver that disappeared. Humans, what have you done? Sacred King Black Poison was stunned. He could tell that Zhao Feng had planned all of this from the beginning based on the cat's speed. The little thieving cat did everything perfectly. The incoming arrival of another group and the disturbance of divine power had distracted them, and they let their guard down. Zhao Feng, what are you doing? Nan Gongsheng paused. It was obvious that Zhao Feng didn't tell them about his plan either. The newcomer is Demigod Destruction. We need to leave. Zhao Feng messaged them both in warning before waving his left hand to use the misty spatial world. What? The expressions of Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Yufei changed dramatically. They didn't doubt what Zhao Feng said. If the group that was coming really was led by a demigod of the non-humans, they might really die here. Boom. The wall shattered, and several non-human figures charged in. The leader had one horn and black scaly armor. This was Demigod Destruction. Human, get back here. Demigod Destruction's eyes released a brilliant beam of gold as he looked at Zhao Feng and company, but it was too late. The figures of Zhao Feng and company had already disappeared with a flash of silver. Demigod Destruction's attack missed and landed on the crystal giant behind them. Senior Destruction. Sacred King Black Poison and Sacred King Purple Poison had respectful expressions. They were joyful that the newcomers were non-humans, but they didn't expect there to be a demigod in this team. However, Zhao Feng and company left immediately after capturing Sacred Lord Myriad Forms, as if they knew that the newcomers would be Demigod Destruction's team, but how was that possible? The divine sense of a Sacred Lord couldn't pass through these walls unless one reached the level of a demigod, but even then, it would be extremely weak. For example, Demigod Destruction had sensed Zhao Feng beforehand and immediately unleashed an attack, but only after getting pretty close. Sacred King Black Poison and Sacred King Purple Poison were about to tell them the situation, but with a boom, the cave crumbled as a giant heavy figure descended before them.